I had an interesting experience leaving Jalisco, and it was kind of bittersweet. Um, I left without it being my choice to leave Jalisco. It was my parents who made that decision. And at the time, I really didn't know that I was coming here to stay here permanently. Um, it was a decision made, I don't know, maybe to me it seemed like from one day to the next, or maybe they flipped a coin, I don't know. But to them, they probably had it planned out. Um, I just know that I was getting to that age where my education was going to be limited if I stayed in my hometown. My parents knew that the opportunities weren't going to be so great. So I think they had it planned out. But for myself, it just seems like they made a decision, like they flipped a coin, made a decision, and next thing I know, I was on my way here. I left a lot of family behind. I left all my friends behind. I never got to say bye to anyone, honestly, because I didn't know I was coming here. So I left all my friends behind, my grandmas, without being able to say bye to them. And yeah, that's why it was just kind of bittersweet. Like, I was excited to meet a new place. Like, once I was on my way and I knew what was happening, I was excited to see a new place, kind of learn new things or see places that I only saw in movies. But I left a lot of people behind, and part of my, I guess you could say, part of my identity, part of my, just a part of me. Like, I left that behind in my hometown. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot that plays into it. The whole reason why we're here, and specifically in Santa Rosa, is something that I've always wondered. And I finally got the courage to ask, like, why Santa Rosa? And it was just a matter of opportunity. I think my brother was the first one to come to Santa Rosa. He knew some people from our town that were already here, that were already working, so it just made it that much easier for him to find work. And then eventually all of us came up. But it definitely changed us. Like I said, like, I left a lot of my family and my roots back home. And so it's almost like you're uprooted and then you're placed somewhere else, and then you're expected to, like, survive and adapt and assimilate and acculturate and all these, like, things that you have to do in order to, like, fit in. But it definitely changed us. Like, it kind of broke a piece off because many of us couldn't travel back home. When my grandmas got ill, my uncles, my aunts got ill and started passing away, we started losing some of those branches in our family tree, and so it made it difficult. Like, all of a sudden we weren't from there anymore. We didn't have much of a connection back home, right? So then you kind of feel like you're cut off, and then you only belong to one place now, and you kind of go through that. Like I said, all of my siblings, we all live up here in the state. For some of us, like, for myself, I haven't been able to go back home, travel back home, and even now that I have the opportunity to go back home, it's been difficult to make that decision just because I feel so disconnected. But it kind of changes the way you see things, the way you feel about things, and it kind of, like, motivates you, but at the same time you're kind of conditioned to feel like you can't visit, you don't have no more connections, you don't have family, your family's limited, and, like, all these things. Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting experience, but it's really common in my community. It's kind of a tough one because everybody who comes here is here for could be here for a different reason. And some of us have similar stories. Others have tougher stories or reasons why we're here. So it's kind of hard to tell, like, really. I would just encourage that anybody who's here at a really young age is to try to balance everything, to try to, like, balance how you adapt to your new environment and the place you live, but also to hold on to some of your roots and hold on to those family connections. to your culture, definitely. Right? You don't want to lose your culture, your roots. Um, Language is kind of a tough one. Language, I feel like, is just a tool to communicate. So you can pick up new tools, you can pick up new languages, and it's also good to hold on to some of those tools and languages in case they come in handy. Um, but it's understandable if like you start to lose some of your language. It's just kind of like maintain some of it so you can communicate with everybody. Um, uh, I think if anybody feels you come here with the hope of doing better, succeeding, and gaining opportunity, right? But sometimes the circumstances can make it tough, and people lose hope, or you feel persecuted because of where you come from, or your culture, or you start to feel that way. I would just encourage them not to, and instead of feeling discouraged or hopeless, to like embrace your culture and try to do whatever you can to acknowledge it and like celebrate it. That way you feel more confident, and take advantage of the opportunities too. Education, work, the opportunity to like start your own business, define your own success. So yeah, just it's a matter of circumstance, like depending on like what people are going through. I like to use my story to empower others, right? And I found that it's powerful when you can connect with others, through story. And right now we're living in and this has been historically, it's been this way. It's not the first time it happens, and this is not the worst that it's been. But the anti-immigrant sentiment in this country has been tough on minority communities and the immigrant community, right? And so I just hope that by telling the stories, like more people can connect and we can have more compassion. And then if I can like empower you to outdo me, so let's say I graduated high school, I would like you to graduate at the JC. I graduated at the JC, so I'm hoping that you want to outdo me, right? And I just want to like empower and motivate people to do better than me, and that's why I work with youth. That's why ever since I got out of high school, I made it a point to come back and like do outreach and encourage youth to go to the JC, and especially because I have a story similar to mine. So that's one way we can combat that sort of hatred and yeah, that oppressive mindset that we have towards like people that aren't from this country, because we all have an immigrant story. We just have to backtrack to figure it out, like what it was like and what was going on at the time. And then honor the place we are on, right? And honor the folks that were here, that are providing us this like space and land to be here, right? And not to exploit, but to like embrace and do the best that we can.
My name is Amelia Cermick.
My name is Brian Sandoval.
My name is Brandon Monzano.
My name is Jones Montalban.
My name is Diego Herrera.